really lovely to see you. We are going to sketch today, so you can see I have my sketchbook with me and some other materials. And what I want to show you today is how we are going to sketch whilst we are on the go. And I'm a little bit early, I'm just quickly checking the time, 4 minutes. So let's have a little look through this little sketchbook that I have with me here, that I very often take with me when I'm traveling and when I'm out and about. And you can see next to my hand that it is a very small sketchbook. And I'll just make sure that I'll clean the lens a little bit better. So, oh, there we go. So now you can see this all really nice and sharp. So this sketchbook is my travel sketchbook. You can see it's the size of my hand. I bought it specifically to take with me when I go somewhere. And I use it for urban sketching and for if I'm in places where I just quickly want to make a drawing and where I quickly want to make some sketches and I don't have space to take my really large sketchbook with me. So there we go. I'm just going to tilt the camera a little bit. There we go. I think you should be able to see everything perfectly. Just making sure that the internet and everything's working, and then we will get started. So. Well, let's get started. So, I just want to show you what I do when I'm out and about and on the go and how I do some sketching. So I have my really small sketchbook. This is a sketch I made in the train yesterday. I am in the Netherlands at the moment, so this is where I'm going to do the sketching. And sometimes I like to sketch what I see in front of me when I'm traveling, the nature, or sometimes the sometimes the nature, or if I see some animals, I like to sketch those, or a building. Sometimes just having a really simple materials is absolutely perfect for making a sketch. So I'm going to start with these scissors, and I'm just using this fine liner. There we go. So I'm just wanting to put it in a space where you can see it as well. There we go. And I'm going to sketch this really loose. I'm really not looking for perfection. I just want to get some time in the diary for doing some sketching and for observation, and any object can be inspiration. You don't need to have really have to make a really complicated portrait or a really complicated idea of what you can draw in order to make art. You can fill your sketchbook with really normal things like these scissors. You don't need to take really fancy materials with you when you're traveling. Just a pen and a little sketchbook or some loose paper is enough to do some sketching. And sometimes I draw like the coffee that I'm drinking if I'm in a cafe, or my lunch. Sometimes I draw the building that I'm seeing or the area I see around me. But sometimes I just draw some really simple things, like these scissors, for example. So if you're drawing along, just pick something that you have on your desk and use that for inspiration, and just see how you can draw that. If it's a little bit wobbly, it's absolutely fine. So we're just observing the world around us. And I just want to show you that you can find inspiration in anything. You don't need to do something it doesn't need to be complicated. Sometimes we're really overthinking these things. I'm not saying that a pair of scissors is not special, but you can draw, anything can be inspiration. Anything can be an object that is fun to draw. So, there we go. So I'm just refining this a little bit. You can see it's a bit of a wobbly sketch. These scissors are looking like they're a little bit of an angle, so maybe I will make that a bit straighter. So there's like a little knobbly bit here. So, see, there we go. So this is what I like to do. I sketch what I'm seeing in front of me in terms of the nature or the view, or like an area where I'm at, and sometimes I just sketch objects or things that are right in front of me on my desk. So, and because I'm traveling today, I'm not showing my face, I'm just drawing this. I'm using my phone today, so I'm not showing my face. Next week I'm back, and then I will be sketching from the studio again. So I don't want to skip these weekly drawing sessions because I find them a lot of fun and I just wanted to carry on anyway. So I'm drawing this ballpoint pen now. See, there we go. Just with loose lines. And I'm just practicing my eye-hand coordination by doing this. But also I am practicing my observation skills. And also the more I do drawings like this, the easier it is to find inspiration in the world around you. There's an airplane coming over, I don't know if you can hear that. The more you practice drawing like this, the more the easier it becomes to find inspiration in the world around you. Because when you're quite new to art, sometimes it's really hard to think of an object that you could draw. But then the more you do it, the easier it becomes. Maybe I'll add a bit of shadow underneath. Since if you're drawing along, I invite you, just grab a pen, any pen, or a crayon, and just start doodling, just anything. And I instantly feel that my mind is relaxing, even though I am doing this, even though I'm talking and teaching and all these things, I still find it really relaxing, and I instantly feel how my mind is becoming calmer and how I start to, feel more calm and more relaxed. And I just look at these objects, these really simple objects, this pair of scissors and this pen, with different eyes, because I actually think if you sort of look at them, how beautifully they are made. So I will open this a bit again. How beautifully this is made, and how interesting all these different shapes are. This is something that I never really thought about before, but by drawing them, I view them with different eyes, and I look at things a little bit differently. So, let me add another object, maybe here on the side. So I'll move these a little bit. Let me see if I have something else on my desk. I have some paint brushes. There we go. So I'm going to include that one. And I'm not looking for hyper realism here. I just want to find the essence of this object. What is it that catches my attention? If it's a bit wobbly, that's okay. So there's a number here. I quite like a bit of wobbliness. So there's a bit of a dent here. And what I really want to teach you is that anything can be a source of inspiration, and anything can be fun to draw. And especially when you're traveling, often the smallest things are things that catch your attention and that you remind later on. So you often don't remind these really big, beautiful buildings that you saw, but what you will remind is, the biscuits that you ate, or sometimes there's something else quite small that seems really mundane, that is, really memorable. So I have a bit of wool here as well. So let's draw this ball of wool. I'm going to draw that quite small, maybe here. I'm trying to fill this page with lots of objects. So I'm staying with family at the moment, so this is objects that they have on their desk. I found a spot in the house where I can do this teaching, and these are objects that are someone else's. Well, the pen and stuff are mine, but some of these, like the wool, is theirs, and that's also quite interesting. Everyone's desks, like a lot of things are similar, but people all have different things. So So even if you stay in a tent or in a hotel, there's often little objects and things that are a little bit different from home that might be interesting to draw. See? There we go. So like that, even in like 5 minutes time, 5-6 minutes time, we already have quite a few things on the page. So, there we go. I'm going to have a look for something else to draw. Here there's a little cup here. Sorry if this is wobbly. There's a little cup here with some decorations on it and some brushes in it. So I'm going to put that here. I think a little bit out of sight, unfortunately. And I'm going to sketch that out on the next page. So maybe if I see if I can move things around a little bit so you can see it. That would be great. So bear with me a second. So I'm just getting a notification on my phone that it doesn't like the fact that I'm moving it midway through the painting, but I hope you can still hear it okay. So, there we go. So this little pot is going to be my inspiration for now. So just making a little bit of space here. There we go. So I'm going to draw this. I think the way that I'm drawing it is more from the angle that I'm looking at it. It's a bit more from the front. So I'm just going to use the same pen. So I have some really simple watercolors with me, so I have to maybe add in, I will maybe add in some color later on. So I'm not looking for precision here, just for the essence and the angle of what I'm seeing here. So there's like a pot here. So I'm looking at it a little bit from above. So it's a different angle from what you see on camera. So, I don't know what this pot is. It is quite old, I think. I think it is very pretty. I suspect it comes from my grandmother's. So I'm trying to capture the essence of this angle. It's okay if it's a little bit sort of a little bit messy, a little bit scratchy. It doesn't all have to be right straight away. So there is a brush here. So there we go. And then another one here. And if you want to have a daily drawing practice, drawing in this way, which is very loose and free and not too serious, that makes it much easier to draw regularly. Because if you want to make a really perfect drawing every day, like really detailed and like a really full sort of piece of art, the pressure sort of builds up and it becomes much more difficult to actually finish your artwork every day. So by doing a more sort of loose practice where you can be a little bit messy and experiment and have fun, you allow yourself to be a bit more loose and it becomes less pressured and actually much easier to do this task that you set yourself. I hope that makes sense. So the more pressure you put on yourself, the harder it becomes to to draw. I think these are like little monkey sort of faces here on the side. So let's do a little bit of hatching, making it a bit darker. See how it's slowly coming together. So when I'm on the road and I'm on holiday or I travel somewhere, I always take this little sketchbook with me, and I often take a small satchel. This is the one that I'm using at the moment, with a few pens. That's all I'm taking, just this and this. And I also often take this little box with watercolors. So this box is very small and I can carry it with me really easily on the train or on other places. And yeah, that's usually my sort of materials list for when I'm traveling. When I'm at home, I also do some plein air drawing sometimes. But then because I'm closer to home, I often take a bit more things because I have the space for it and I don't have to limit the amount of things I'm taking. So there we go. I'm going to include the other things on my desk here as well. So actually I have my sketchbook here, which I could include. That's quite fun. I've never made a sketch of my sketchbook before. And that is quite fun because the sketchbook is filling up as I'm talking. So maybe what I'm drawing what I'm going to draw in here, I have to add in here as well. So it's like this never-ending loop. And I really like to keep a travel journal, but I don't usually do lots of writing in it. Maybe I should start doing that at some point. The pen is sort of here. So there's the ballpoint pen, and then this is the scissors. See how it's okay that it is a bit messy. I'm just figuring it out. I'm just sketching with pen. So instead of using a sketch pencil, I'm just sketching away with my pen. And there's a glass of water here, which is my drinking water. So all of this is a bit at a funny angle because I'm just drawing what I'm seeing. And if you've never done that before, I'd really recommend it. Just draw what is in front of you and allow yourself to make some mistakes there as well, because it doesn't have to be perfect. So there we go. So some messy sketches. I'm going to add a little bit of color to this. So let me move the pot out of the way. And there we go. I can move it in this direction. I can actually... So there we go. Now you can see the drawing that I've made. I don't know how this comes onto your screen, horizontal or vertical. I do think somewhere, there we go. I have a little hair clip with me. So this is another trick. If you have one of those bobby pins, you can use those to secure your paper. There we go. Let's add a bit of color to this. So this is the set of watercolor paints that I like to use when I'm traveling. It was a very cheap set, but I really like using it. I use it very often. See, there we go. So I'm going to add a little bit of color to this side and then do a bit more drawing on the other side as well. I do want to add color to the other side of the paper, but because this is going to be wet, I'll do this side first and then I have some space to draw on that side. And this is another tool that I like using a lot. So this is a water fillable pen, a brush. And I'm going to use that to do some painting with. And the reason I like it is because I can squeeze a little bit and some water comes out. So I have to carry very little water with me. And it's very easy to carry with me. It's never leaked so far. That's not going to say that it will never leak, but I've always never had any problems with it so far. The only thing is that it is a bit hard to clean on the go, so that's why it has become a bit messy. So, and when I'm adding these blobs of color to the paper, I'm not going for realism here, because there's not actually anything green on the paper. I just want to add in a bit of color in any way that feels good to me, that feels right to me. See, there we go. I think that already looks nice. So I like to add a bit of color around here, around there. You can go within the lines or go outside the lines, it doesn't really matter. So this is just a way that I like to make quick impact, add a little bit of color to the paper quickly. And the more water you use, the longer it takes to dry. So that is something you have to keep in mind. Because quite often on the go, I don't have that much time. I have to be a little bit fast. And so I have to be a little bit fast, and I don't have that much time, so I want things to dry quite quick as well. I don't want to wait for an hour for everything to dry. So keep that in mind. The more water you use, the more you squeeze that brush, the longer it takes to dry. See, there we go. I've mixed in a bit of orange with that green, and I always really like that combination. So maybe a bit of a hint of color here. Something else I often have with me is a pack of tissues. So just like these. Because if you then have a splash where there's way too much water, or you need to wipe off your brush or something, you can use a bit of tissue paper for that. So instead of taking like a whole roll, or instead of making it really complicated and taking a whole roll or taking cloth or things like that, just a pack of tissues works really well usually. So, and then maybe here on the paper I can add in some of that vase just for fun. So, like a picture in a picture. See, there we go. That's just a bit of an idea there. So, there we go. I think this already looks like quite a fun page. So whilst this dries, I'm going to turn my paper around and do another sketch here. So what shall I sketch on this side? I'm just going to have a little look around, see what I've got in front of me. Remember, if you can't think of anything, you can always sketch your hands or draw your hands. That's a really fun thing to do and really good practice as well. But I think I want to draw something a little bit different today. And I really like this. I'm just having a look, see what I found around me. And this is what I found, this little little clown puppet thing. So I think that is a really fun thing to sketch. So if I turn it a little bit like this, you can see its face. So, there we go. So I'm using maybe a slightly different pen. This is my really fine one. Maybe I use my brush pen for this. And this brush pen is quite coarse. It's not too precise, but it is perfect for quick loose sketches. So maybe here, so the head, the hair, so I need to concentrate a little bit. See, sometimes you'd be surprised at what you find, things you could draw. I did not prepare any of this. I'm just looking around what I can find here in this room. So, and then, so, see, there we go. You can recognize it, can you? So, and then adding in these dots. And I absolutely love sketching. I sketch a lot on the go, often really loose. And I also find it a really good way of almost like grounding myself. So I sketch on the go in places where it's quite busy, because it helps me sort of stay centered and to focus on myself and what I want to do, instead of getting a bit overwhelmed sometimes by other people. So if you're a person who finds busy situations and social situations quite overwhelming, find yourself just a quiet spot in the corner with a sketchbook and do a little bit of sketching. And especially, like, people might come and ask you what you're doing, but it's a really good way of just focusing on what's happening in the moment instead of getting dragged away. And it also stops you from having to talk to everyone. Yeah, especially if you can find a little corner, just sit on the floor somewhere with your sketchbook. Like when I do it a lot when I'm traveling, for example, in like an airport or something. So that's not a situation where people would come and talk to me. But I like to just find a corner when I'm waiting in front of the gate, and then just just sketch there. And it helps me sort of deal with that situation of traveling and all the busyness and everything going on. So there we go. I think I might add in a few like imaginary swirls, blobs and shapes. So, and then I'll color these in, and then that is sort of it for today, I think. So, and when you create blobs and swirls, sometimes it is very easy to make the same shape over and over again. So try and allow yourself to be a little bit loose with blobs. Just think of, actually you can do those curves a few times. It's not just a circle that you're making, but maybe there could be some different shapes in there. There we go. I think this is going to be quite a fun page. This pen is waterproof, so I'm going to paint over it. I just do with my brush here. So let's remove some of that green paint that I had. There we go. And if you're painting along, I'd really love to see your creations. Doesn't matter if you're painting the same thing as that I am doing, or if you're doing a bit of your own work. if you're painting along and you share what you've made on Instagram, just make sure you tag me in it and then I can see it and let me know that you painted it during the live session or if you did some sketching now, because it just gives me so much joy. I really love seeing what everyone makes. So I'm just adding yellow. I love yellow. This is a very lemony yellow. You don't always have to color in the object that you're painting. Sometimes you can just add a bit of color around it and then still create a fun, colorful spread. There we go. Should we have a quick look? There we go. I don't know at what angle this shows on YouTube. Oh, sorry, I've got drips going on. There we go. A little bit scary, isn't he? And then this side. There we go. I really like this page. I think that came out really nicely. And then the first page that I made as a drawing was this one. So I think I can just close this. This paint is a little bit wet, but it'll be okay. I'm going to add a bit of paint to these first sketches that I made today as well. So again, bobby pin, that's a really good trick if you're on the go and you're doing some painting to secure your page. And here's my brush. So let's add a bit of color here as well. I'm using this light, this is like a pink tone, but you can see I still have a bit of green on my brush. So the color is going to be a bit mixed up, but that's okay. So, there we go. I find it quite a fun color, this green and pink together. It's not a color I use very often, this pink. It's one of the colors that is least used in this set, but actually, for some reason, I fancied using it today. So, there we go. So, are you going to do some art today? Let me know, I'm really curious. I think people often think they need so much time for art. They're like, oh, I don't have the time for it, but you don't need lots of time. Like, each of these sketches is only a few minutes. And in total, I'm painting for about half an hour now for this live session. But even like 10 minutes is enough to make some quick sketches and to add in a bit of art in your day. So, there we go. I think I'm going to say this is finished. I think that looks quite cute for a quick painting / drawing. So you have a bit of tissue at hand, you can always dab off a little bit if there's too much. There we go. Well, thank you so much for being with me here for this live session. I do these live sessions every week on Thursday. Next week I cannot, unfortunately, because there is no internet where I am. I'll try, but probably not, so I will be back the week after. If there's something specifically that you want to practice, let me know. Today we were just sketching on the go with really simple materials, a pen and a little bit of watercolor paint. But sometimes I use different materials, so color pencils or paint, or make things a little bit more intricate. So today I kept it really simple. This is my little travel sketchbook. And yeah, I really look forward to seeing you soon. So thank you so much for being here. Make sure you subscribe and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.